From the Home Slice News Center, this is the Daily Slice for Thursday, March 10th, 2022. I'm D. Ray Knight, and this is what's going on. Here is the latest on the war in Ukraine. Russia's foreign minister is dismissing concerns about Russian military attacks on civilians, including on a maternity hospital, calling them pathetic shrieks from its enemies. Sergei Lavrov met with his Ukrainian counterpart in Turkey today in the highest level Russian-Ukrainian talks since the war began last month. In the Russian government's first public comment on Wednesday's strike on a maternity hospital in the besieged city of Mariupol, Lavrov didn't deny or shy away from responsibility for the attack. He claimed the site had earlier been seized by Ukrainian far-right radical fighters who were using it as a base, even though there were many images of civilians wounded in the attack, and the city council said a child was among the 3 people killed. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is in Poland today and embracing calls for international war crimes investigation of Russia over its invasion of Ukraine and the bombing of civilians, including that maternity hospital. Meanwhile, there are fresh reports this morning of continued Russian attacks on civilians trying to flee Mariupol. In news closer to home, South Dakota lawmakers have passed a proposal to limit the number of cannabis plants that medical marijuana patients can grow in their homes. The Republican-controlled House and Senate have debated for weeks what limits to place on the number of homegrown plants after a voter-passed law placed no limit on them. The Senate proposed a limit of 3 flowering and 3 non-flowering plants, while the House wanted to do away with homegrown cannabis entirely. Both chambers agreed to limit the number to 2 flowering and 2 non-flowering. A South Dakota official says the Attorney General is unfit for office. Amy Rose has more.
South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem's cabinet secretary, who oversaw an investigation into the state's Attorney General for a 2020 fatal car crash, has urged House lawmakers to bring impeachment charges against him. Secretary of Public Safety Craig Price alleges in a letter that Attorney General Jason Ravnsborg was distracted, was untruthful during the investigation, and previously traded disparaging and offensive text messages with his staff about other state officials. A spokesman for Ravnsborg did not immediately respond to a request for a comment, and House Speaker Spencer Gosh called the pressure from Noem's office an attempt to interfere in an investigation belonging to the House.
Rapid City Police say a Box Elder man has been arrested for DUI after an accident Wednesday morning. Michael Griffith Martinez, 24, was arrested after rolling his car in the area of 6th Street and Omaha. When police arrived on the scene, Griffith Martinez was standing outside the vehicle, which had come to a rest on its roof. Police noted the smell of alcohol on him and he was taken into custody. Police also recovered a stolen firearm from the vehicle. In national and international news, the Pentagon is rejecting a Polish plan to provide Ukraine with MiG fighter jets by transferring them through a U.S. base in Germany. The Pentagon said Ukraine has greater needs and that a U.S. intelligence assessment says such an aircraft transfer would pose a high risk of escalating the war. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby told reporters that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke with his Polish counterpart on Wednesday and informed him of the U.S. decision. He said the U.S. is pursuing other options that would provide more critical military needs to Ukraine, such as air defense and anti-armor weapons. U.S. inflation is set to mark a 4-decade high. Chrissy Davies explains.
Consumer inflation in the United States likely set another 40-year high in February, and it won't even reflect the oil and gas spikes of the past week, which will likely catapult prices even higher in coming months. Energy prices, which soared after Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, jumped again this week after President Joe Biden said the United States would bar oil imports from Russia. A report from the government is expected to show that consumer inflation leapt 7.9% in February, compared with 12 months earlier, according to data provider FactSet. That would be the biggest such increase since January 1982. Analysts have also estimated that prices rose 0.7% from January to February.
MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred canceled 93 more games, appearing to cut off the chance to play a full 162-game baseball schedule and threatening locked-out players with loss of salary and service time. As the sides narrowed down many economic differences to a small margin, they became bogged down over management's attempt to gain an international amateur draft. Talks on that topic were to continue. In the meantime, on the 98th day of the lockout, Manfred announced 2 additional series had been canceled through April 13th. That means 184 games have been wiped out from the 2,430-game regular season. Your weather forecast from the Home Slice Weather Center. Sunny and warmer today with a high of 30. Tonight's low 10. And that was your Daily Slice for Thursday, March 10th, 2022. The Daily Slice is a production of Home Slice Media Group, hosted by D. Ray Knight with Amy Rose and Chrissy Davies. Executive producer Mark Houston. Engineered by Chris Jacquez. I'm D. Ray Knight. Have a great day.